comes to mind. What does society tell the children? It's usually along the lines of, go to Harvard or MIT, become a millionaire, no, a billionaire. Or better yet, why not just become the next Bill Gates? While all of this sounds very good in our heads, there's a fundamental problem with this idea, with these big ideas of success. Because the unfortunate reality is that everyone can't go to Harvard. Everyone can't become the next Bill Gates. It's mathematically impossible, regardless of how hard everyone works and regardless of how much everyone sacrifices. This means that at the end of the day, most of us will fail by that big standard of success. We will be sad, but what I find even more sad is it doesn't have to be this way. Hi, I'm Saaketh, and I'm here to tell you how aiming smaller will help you make it big. Now, many of you might be wondering, what exactly do I mean by aiming smaller? At first glance, it seems like something negative, like taking the easy way out. But in reality, aiming smaller is just refocusing to take a look at all the more achievable goals all around you. It's breaking down the big into the small. It's pursuing those opportunities that many of us currently ignore in pursuit of that something greater. Aiming smaller doesn't mean doing less with your life, but rethinking what you view as important, meaningful, in order to do more. In our society today, it's very easy to feel like a failure. We're constantly forced to compare ourselves with others, and success is only defined by those big wins that come far in the future and that are fundamentally based off of being better than others, which is why it's so important that we all refocus. So, what should we focus on? What are these small wins? Quite frankly, they're not as sexy as the definition of success today, but they serve an important function in the world. For me, my first small win came when I learned how to make pasta. Now, some of you might be laughing. What a small, basic thing, you might wonder, but that underscores my point. For me, someone with zero cooking experience whatsoever, it was a breakthrough. It was something that I had put off for so long out of fear that I would fail, out of fear that it would be hard, out of fear that I would be worse than those around me. I'm looking at you, Mom. But when I took that first leap and I made my first batch of pasta, nobody died of food poisoning. It was completely edible, and I had succeeded. I was better off now than I was before. I had learned something that I would carry with me for the rest of my life. I was successful. Now, everyone doesn't need to learn to go make pasta in order to be successful. It's different for who you are, and that's what makes it so special. Go plant a garden, volunteer in your town, learn a new language, finish reading that book that continues to gather dust on your bookshelf. But compare yourself to you. Are you better off now than you were before? Now, some of you might be thinking, this Saaketh kid, he'll never amount to anything. He'll just make a bunch of pasta and learn a new language and fade into the dust of history. But that misses the essence of what refocusing does. When you refocus to focus on the smaller things, you're able to break down the complexities of life into smaller parts that are easy to conquer. Instead of cowering in fear of the behemoth tasks like getting into college or becoming rich that currently dominate our lives, when we refocus, we're no longer overwhelmed by the odds. We're able to face our challenges head first. Whenever we focus on these small goals, we're able to learn and grow on our own terms in a way that's suited towards our skills, our interests, our talents, instead of blindly following along with the one-size-fits-all prescription that we've all been prescribed by society. Aiming smaller doesn't mean abandoning any greater ideas you might have for life or for the world, but rethinking how to achieve them. Instead of simply following the conventional path, by aiming smaller, by comparing your progress to how much you were able to improve, you will be better suited to address the behemoths that will lay in your way in a consistent and sustainable manner. You will no longer be overwhelmed by the odds, and you can build the base for a future that you will be proud living. Now, the most important thing, however, that comes from aiming small is that you will be happier. The most immediately impactful thing that aiming smaller will do is it will allow you to get the most out of life. In our world nowadays, because of this constant competition, because of the constant way that we're able to see ourselves on things like social media, things that ought to be impressive, like getting good grades or winning a competition, are no longer held in as high a regard anymore. They're almost expected. When we fail, we punish ourselves. But when we succeed, we just feel content. We finish step one, but the future, our real goal, is still far away. We still haven't achieved success, right? But when getting good grades is the end goal, when winning that competition is the thing that you work hard for, you're able to get that much more out of the experience. You're no longer overwhelmed by what lies in your future, making your work that much more effective. Now, I've talked a lot about aiming smaller can have an impact on you as an individual. But if we all adhere to its principles, it can truly transform society. What if we're not constantly forced to compare ourselves with others in order to get this validation? What if we judge the success of others and ourselves to how well someone is able to achieve their own small goals? Are they the best they can be? Have they accomplished what they set out to accomplish? We can build a happier world. We can alleviate the big burdens that we're all forced to shoulder. We can create a world in which individuals are truly able to be themselves and where individuals are truly able to be their best. Society is only as strong as its weakest link, but by refocusing, we can strengthen those that we currently view as weak. We can strengthen society as a whole. For too long, we have let others decide what it means for us to be successful. We're trained to think that what happens far in the future matters far more than what's happening now. But sometimes it's important to take a step back and think, what are you doing right now? What are you giving up right now? And wonder, is it really worth it? It's time for you. It's time for everybody to aim small to make it big.